This changes everything for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not only do we have a huge injury update surrounding TJ Watt and others that have massive implications, there is an update from the out-of-town team that is not the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it is surrounding the Ravens and Lamar Jackson that has huge implications as it pertains to the Steelers. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. And not only that, we also have a big injury update as it pertains to the Browns. And folks, things have just lined up absolutely perfectly for the Steelers, and everything just changed heading into the game on Sunday. You're going to want to stay tuned till the very end of the video, folks. This has a ton of information, and not a lot of people are talking about it. But before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been absolute beasts with the support, folks. Ton to go over today. We have updates from the Ravens side of things, and the reason that's important is because the Steelers can clinch with a Ravens loss tomorrow. We have an update from, of course, the Steelers side of things, and let's start with the game on the tomorrow, Ravens-Packers, and I want to start with this. So ESPN sources, the Packers cornerback, Jordan Love, as of an hour ago, is missing his start against the Ravens, which is really bad news. And you can see here from Nick Farabaugh, Malik Willis versus Snoop Huntley to see if the Steelers will clinch a playoff berth and a playoff spot rather, on Saturday night, because a report dropped kind of out of nowhere that Lamar Jackson is officially doubtful, right? He is doubtful with an injury that he has been dealing with. You can see here Lamar Jackson is doubtful, and stay tuned to the end for all the injury updates, but Lamar Jackson is doubtful for the Ravens game on Saturday night. He didn't practice all week, so he is presumably going to be out. So folks, ton of info here. Let's start with the obvious. Lamar Jackson being out increases the Steelers' chances of course, making the playoffs, because again, if the Ravens lose tomorrow to the Packers, then the Steelers don't have anything to play for the rest of the year, at least as it pertains to the standings. Now, Jordan Love being out is pretty bad news. And I said in the intro how everything fell perfectly into place. It did up until, and it still did ultimately, right? With Lamar Jackson being presumably out. I don't think he's officially been ruled out yet, but essentially has been. And then, of course, Snoop Huntley. This is going to be a game that it's going to be messy, but it's good news overall that Lamar Jackson, and again, let me preface this. I never want to see anyone injured. Hopefully Lamar Jackson, we want to see everyone in the NFL healthy, right? But at the same time, as it pertains to strictly the football side of things, it's good news that, the Ravens are dealing with, less men than they usually have, right? We never want to wish injuries though, of course. And as that pertains to the Steelers, again, if they win tomorrow, Mike Tomlin came out and said, or rather if the Packers win tomorrow, Mike Tomlin came out and said they'll probably be dealing with some interesting, lineups in the sense that they're probably not going to run the normal, set that they run, they'll re-resting a bunch of players, whether that be TJ Watt, who we have an update on now, or others. Things change immensely depending on tomorrow's game. When you can think about Sunday as a must-win all you want, I think they still should. No matter what happens in the Ravens-Packers game, you need to put your best foot forward on Sunday. But again, if they lose tomorrow, the Ravens, Steelers clinch a playoff berth, folks, and they clinch an unbelievable playoff spot, which is kind of crazy, but still, they need to take care of business on their own right, and that's going to be aided by tight end David Njoku. He's been ruled out for Sunday's game with a knee injury, and their other tight end also is out with, or at least, is questionable with an injury. So, folks, at this juncture, let's just focus on the game on Sunday for a minute here, because, of course, we've been focusing in this video on the game tomorrow for the Ravens and the Green Bay Packers, but now for Sunday's game, the Browns ruled out one of their better players, and this is really crucial for the Steelers because, again, put everything you want aside. If they win Sunday, they win the division, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers. The Browns are going to be heavily, heavily injured in this game. A ton of players questionable, David Njoku being out, and that is a key development because also standout rookie Harold Fannin popped up with a groin issue and is questionable. So the Browns, who aren't they're a bad, horrible offensive team to begin with, are missing a few of their crucial players. Their great rookie tight end, David Njoku, they are going to be down, which means, and we'll dive into the Steelers updates, but this means that from the Steelers side of things, you need to take care of business on Sunday. No matter what happens Saturday, I'm sure Mike Tomlin will play to win. Maybe Aaron Rodgers doesn't start if, Green Bay takes care of business tomorrow against the Ravens. I don't even want to think about that. David Njoku being out, this is all not good news, but it's, a key development, I guess, is the best way to put it there, because at the end of the day, we saw this before with teams like, and I had a video on it when they played the Dolphins, and Tua Tagovailoa always struggles in the freezing cold, and the Steelers won. These things matter so much, and to have them already with missing pieces to be down even more players is pretty significant. But at the same time, the Steelers won't be 100% healthy either. Now, TJ Watt was at practice today making one-handed catches, but he wasn't speaking to the media today, and he's not expected to until next week. All of that because you can see the injury report here. TJ Watt has officially been ruled out. Now, we have a bunch of injury updates to go over today, but let's start with this. So James Pierre on the Friday injury report, he was a DNP, Eccles was a DNP, Austin was a DNP, TJ Watt is officially, he was limited, but he's not going to be playing on Sunday. You also have Jalen Ramsey was a DNP, Isaac Samala, like, there is some good news, but there's also some bad news sprinkled in, right? So things line up perfectly in some ways, and of course it gets taken down the other way. But TJ Watt, James Pierre, Calvin Austin, and Brandon Eccles are all out. And I covered in a video yesterday, of course, Trey Flowers was recently signed. He said he was opening gifts with his family on Christmas Eve, or a couple days ago, and then he got the call, and he's going to have to put Christmas Eve on hold. Shout out to Trey Flowers. He's instantly now going to have to slide into some sort of role, we assume, whether that be special teams or not. But also here, James Pierre went from 2 limited practices and then all of a sudden being ruled out. I'm hoping this isn't a nagging injury or something that got re-aggravated, because they're going to need Pierre for the playoffs specifically. But they're now down most of their cornerbacks. They're going to be running Asante Samuel Jr. and Joey Porter Jr. as their 2 guys to start. And you presume that Trey Flowers will be available if needed. But TJ Watt missing is a huge development, but it's also not one that is super surprising, because I think that initially fans were kind of thinking, okay, if again, the Ravens lose on Saturday, you don't need TJ Watt anyway, they're just going to rule him out regardless. I presume TJ will be available in week 18 if they need him, if they haven't clinched by that point. But some other notes here, you can see Isaac Samalo is also questionable. Hopefully he's going to be good to go, because he was also limited today. I presume he'll be in. Cam Heyward is in. Nick Herbig is fully back. So for all of the negatives, there is some big positives. And obviously having Pierre and Eccles out is brutal. Luckily, you're not going up against a team like the Bills, or a really, really good offensive powerhouse, offensive juggernaut. You're going up against the Browns. Don't want to speak down on the Browns too much, but it is a good game to miss some of these guys if you're going to miss them. Having Herbig back is massive. And he's, of course, been dealing with the hamstring injury, missed last week. But also, without TJ Watt, you need him even more. And he's going to hopefully be able to, step up and, of course, fill some of the shoes that TJ Watt is leaving behind. Otherwise, a lot of players are good to go. Christian Kuntz is also good to go, despite signing that new long snapper earlier in the week. He's going to be good to go, which is all those things matter. And Jalen Ramsey, I presume, is also going to be good to go. But folks, things are a little bit wild. I mean, the Browns are dealing with injuries. You have, of course, the Ravens dealing with injuries, and now the Packers. I'm surprised a little bit that Jordan Love isn't playing. If he would have played, it would have been even better for the Steelers. But at this point, with Lamar Jackson out as well, it's going to be probably a sluggish game. But I'm going to pray for the Packers to take care of business, so then none of these things matter. At the same time, they're going full on. And Aaron Rodgers will play. All these guys will play on Sunday, I think, no matter what. It might take week 18 a little bit slow and maybe rest some guys if they clinch. But let's knock on wood a little bit. Don't jinx anything. Hopefully they take care of business and they can clinch a big playoff appearance for however many years in a row. But this time, hopefully they actually win.